So how are you, George?
Good. Thank you for asking. It's been a better week. I finally regained the weight that I lost 2 weeks ago. And I was just sitting there thinking the other day, I was thinking, wow, it's just like 2 weeks wasted. Because I mentioned to you the other day, like my progression in the gym has I've just been playing catch up for the last 2 weeks, and it's just kind of just fucks with your head a little bit. But then I was thinking, you know what? The last time I was in bed and this ill was, I can't even remember. It's not like it happens all the time. So it's going to happen again at some point in my life, most likely. So just get over it, crack on. But yeah, back to where I was originally now, which has been good. And I'm just building upon that now. It's been a bit difficult, if I'm honest with you, because my appetite hasn't been the greatest. Okay. So trying to regain that weight has been quite not challenging, but it's been sometimes, but I've done it, which is good. It's just been a little bit more of a struggle this time around, considering I was ill. Normally when I'm ill, I'm like, right, I'm ready to eat, I'm buzzing, but coming out of the stomach bug and already, appetite isn't that great after just being in an off scene for so long. You're just kind of like, repetitive sort of feeling, but I've done it. It's all right now. Nothing I can't do anyway, that's for sure. But outside of that, mate, had a rest day, took the dog for a walk, did some work. Normally I kind of situate my check-in on my busier days around my rest days, which is nice. So that was all done. And now I'm just chilling for the rest of the night, which is good. Something which I try and do on my rest days is just have more chill time and learn to do fuck all, which is hard.
Are you finding with your training setup at the moment that you, like, on some days you're not getting any time to relax pre-bed? Because I know that is it tomorrow you have a late session?
So yeah, my Tuesday sessions are like 5:30 till 7:30. Right. And then I'm back in at 9:00 the next following morning to do my push session. So it does, yeah, like I have to really, really nail that Tuesday night, because going in, what I'm finding is if I don't nail that Tuesday night, I go into that session and I do have a meal before. It's only like I have 2 bagels and 100 grams of salmon. It's just something very light just to tie me over to when I'm done. But I know it's just not enough for me when I go into that session. I can just feel it. Yeah. It's just not enough. I would ideally like to get at least 2 or 3 meals in me before I train, not one. I notice a massive difference, especially with pressing first thing in the morning. Wow, it takes me so much longer to fire up and get my joints moving. Whereas throughout the day, I don't know, just maybe I'm just doing more throughout the day. My mobility's better. I've woken up a little bit. But the morning sessions, especially the push sessions, I'm struggling a little bit, but I can't train any other time, annoyingly.
Yeah, I think like we talked about last time, it's a case of it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what a lot of people have at the moment, for sure. But something I've been noticing at the moment is that because I'm forced into training at a specific time, so at the moment it's 1 until 3, so 2 hours, got to get it done in 2 hours, pretty much got to get out. What I'm finding is that my routine at the moment is actually probably the best it has ever been. Like, it's not really taken away from training too much. Like, usually I'd have a little bit more time for isolations at the end, and I'm like sometimes having to superset a few things. But what it's changed in my routine is that I get up in the mornings, and not that I was like going slow some days, but I have intent every morning to get the work done before we obviously have to go and leave for the gym. And it basically results in like the best work efficiency I've ever had, in the sense that I'm not only giving good feedback to check-ins, but very concise, very straight to the point, basically better overall feedback than in the past. Maybe I'd blab on for a little bit too long and create videos that were maybe a little bit too long in general for some clients that were also busy individuals themselves. I work with a lot of clients that do coach themselves or run multiple businesses, and they've not necessarily got the time to watch, 12 or 15-minute video or something like that. So getting their feedback in a more condensed but still very high value check-in, sometimes actually I've found people are giving me feedback on them and they're saying, actually, I really prefer it when you just send me across something that's sort of 6 or 7 minutes long. So I've kind of learned a few things there. And I've equally learned, because I've asked some clients, I'm like, do you prefer it when it's a little bit longer? And some clients have literally been honest with me and they said, look, like, I actually do prefer it when you make a slightly longer one. So for those clients, I've kept it a little bit longer, and I've chatted more about you know, like occasionally in our check-ins, you know, maybe we'll have like a slightly longer one, but we'll chat more about maybe just life stuff in it, you know, because a lot of my clients have been coaching for long enough to comment more on what's going on in their life, not just what's going on in bodybuilding. So I think it's like a fine balance, but it's certainly something that I think I'm learning more now as the business sort of grows to a level where I've got the opportunity to help a lot of people. I want to make it so that I can help as many people as I can, but without taking away from that quality that I do think that I stand for, and that I know that, you know, you want as well in me as a coach. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a coaching ramble, so to speak, but definitely something I've been thinking about at the moment based on how my days have been. And then equally, it allows more time in the evening, because in comparison, when I was training at like, it's crazy how much time I spent in the gym and with the gym process. Do you remember when you came up to Ultraflex and I was in the routine of like going to Starbucks pre? So that schedule, we'd be in Starbucks at 1 and we'd stay in Starbucks for literally like, we'd be on WhatsApp, all of us, like doing form clips and stuff like that. But for me, I couldn't do any real check-ins in Starbucks. Obviously, I need like Loom or the sheets, and you know what the drill is. So we'd be in there for like 45 minutes, and then we'd go to the gym. We'd like sit down, have pre's, write out the logbook, and then we wouldn't start training until probably like 2:30, 2:45. So that's already 2 hours in which I haven't even started training yet, which was nice. You got to spend a lot of time like with Cuba and Meg and Cam and Hannah and things like that. But equally, it's a large chunk of our day, you know, even for Cuba and obviously for Meg now coaching, and Cam and Hannah, you know, all busy people. You know, it was a big chunk. And the training session were long as well. You know what they're like. They're long sessions. So I wouldn't get home until like 7:30, you know. So, you know, now conversely, I get back at, you know, from where I'm traveling further to a different gym, you know, I'm getting back at like 4, and then I'm able, like the last couple of nights, legitimately, I've been in bed at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. I've been knocked out as well at 8 p.m. Which is, I just love that routine. And it's something that I've read on Jordan's log, on Oscar's log, both of them, like, even though Jordan's obviously very busy, his routine is like going to bed at like 8, 8:30, and he wakes up at like 4:30, 5 every day. And he's been in that routine for like years. So I do think there's something to that routine that works well.
I was going to say that's similar to your 2017 prep.
Yes, yeah, going to bed very early.
We used to get up very early. I remember seeing you posing in the living room when it was dark for at least a couple of hours before it started getting light. And I mean, I think obviously for me, I'm still very routined when it comes to the off season, but on prep, that's where things change quite drastically for me, and it's very routined, and I have to do this at this particular time. Whereas I do allow myself a slightly more freedom in the off season. Like I might stay up a little bit later, might stay in. I don't have a particular. I always get up before 7 o'clock, but I don't. Whether it's 6:30 one day or 6:45 the next day, it's not really too much of a problem for me. As long as
that also balances your relationship a little bit, mate. Sorry to butt in, but you think that also balances the relationship, because obviously Niz might stay up a little bit later, you might need to spend a little bit more time with her or something like that. Do you think that helps with that side of things as well, staying up a bit later?
Absolutely. I feel like, especially when you are so serious and dedicated on your prep, that I kind of like use this time to almost kind of give back a little bit and allowed to stay up a little bit later, allowed to do things a little bit spontaneous. So I kind of get the best of both worlds there. But yeah, I think I can't stress the importance for me of routine, especially when it comes to work. Like after I've trained, I hardly do anything, I must admit. Like the quality of my work is just,
yeah.
But beforehand, when I wake up, I'm such a morning person that I can do what I do. I pretty much tick off most of what I need to do before midday. And that's just through just being efficient. And yeah, it's like 5 hours. I'll be doing work for 5 hours. It might not sound long, but I do a lot in that time. And then throughout the rest of the day, it'll just be, WhatsApp, maybe a little bit of, laptop work. I really like that. I do really like that. The only problem I'm having is on those Wednesdays, I train at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I try and do, check-ins before I go, but I don't want to do too much that I'm too focused on that I take away from the performance. And clients are sent through their check-in either the night before or first thing in the morning. And I'm not getting back to them till like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is a little bit shit. Because I like to be back in a couple of hours, that's a part of the service. You want quick efficiency, not send a check-in and you get it 2 days later. That would never happen. But even that still bugs me out a little bit when I'm a couple of hours behind where I usually would be, especially after training night before, then training first thing in the morning. It gets to that point where luckily I have a longer sort of rest. So from the Wednesday morning, I finish around about 12. I won't train till Friday evening next. So it's a long gap between in terms of rest. But just that sort of rest of the evening on that Wednesday, I'm just a little bit mashed from having to train in such a short period of time. So yeah, that's where my quality sort of goes downhill. But other than that, mate, I'll still get it done. There's no complaints about it. I'm getting more inquiries now, which has been good, leading up to obviously the gyms reopening. I don't know about yourself, people inquiring more, people showing interest, wanting to, what's the word I'm looking for, kind of get their spot before they all go, because I've got 5 coaching spaces available before they all get full and all that fucking shit people talk about. So yeah, I'm excited for all of that, and I'm excited for where business goes this year, because it's been a little bit, throughout last, I don't know why I'm waffling, but throughout last year, it was good. Had my moments, had better moments. I'm just hoping that this year will just go up. I don't have to go through this sort of bumpy ride. I just want it to go up and, build upon it instead of having to kind of go, oh, fuck, like I've lost a client here, or I've lost another one. Because I don't know about you, but for some reason, I think about it in my head. I think, oh, is he going to leave soon or something like that? Then someone leaves, and then someone else leaves in some short, like, it might not happen for like 6 months. I don't lose any clients for 6 months. I'm like, fucking hell, I'm doing so well. And in the space of like 2 weeks, you can lose like 2 people, and you think, are they talking to each other here? Is this plan? What's going on? I don't know why that happens. It's very strange. I try and figure it out.
You know what I think that is? I honestly think that is something to do with, I know it sounds crazy, but like the whole what you put into the universe kind of like happens. Like when we talk to Keith and he like thinks about the lift all the time. Like I genuinely think that when you lose a client, you start to think you're going to lose more. And then when you get a check-in from another client that you knew maybe is on the edge of maybe coming to their end of their journey, they leave because you've got it in, you almost like put it out there into the universe. It sounds screwed up, but I genuinely think that's true, because I can totally relate, mate, 100%, and I think it's also it's a good point to note is that even where I'm at right now, when I lose a client, I still don't like it. I don't lose someone and think, oh, okay, don't worry, I just filled the spot. I do still think, God, like, damn it. Like, and I still do get that thought of, geez, what happens if I lose 2 or 3 here? Or, what impact does that have on my earnings and the business growth? And, as much as it doesn't place any of the same sort of like pressures that it did when I was building the business, it still does, definitely weigh on me, which I think for other coaches, potentially who have, hundreds and hundreds of clients or whatever, maybe they don't worry, or maybe people think they don't worry. I don't know. But essentially all I'm trying to say is that I think the level of care that we have for our clients will always be the same, regardless of how big or successful or how many people we do end up coaching. So anyway, we've got a lovely little guest waiting in the beyond the stage waiting room. What do you reckon our waiting room looks like when actually people like come on the show? If it was a real live show, what would the waiting room be like?
I was thinking it would be like the Big Brother room.
Oh
like,
yeah,
Big Brother, AJ is ready for you. Can you please enter that door? And then they just.
I reckon I had like some snacks in it and stuff.
Well, this one a bit of test in this one, maybe a fridge full of I don't know where I'm going there.
just run out of androgens to mention. Let's get him into the proverbial room.
He is the main man.
It's connecting to the audio.
There he is.
Hello. How are we?
How do we know we're going to approach the podcast with that introduction? Consuming food. What's the meal? What's the meal on wheels?
So we have a bowl of Cocoa Pops with protein. We have saurine, and we have, for health reasons, a banana.
Okay. Is it ripe?
It's ripe enough.
Okay.
It's ready for action.
We'll try
to go inside.
So you've just got back from a session, yes?
Yes.
How was said session?
It was as good as it could be.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going to do.
Do you care to enlighten us a little bit more, Jack? As you know, we're very free flowing in this podcast. So just as a note, we are actually already recording. So before you say anything, think about what you say. But,
that's not my strong point thinking.
No. Do you care to enlighten us on your current training situation? Because we almost like to jump into a little bit of where people are at right now, rather than the typical, hey Jack, for anyone who doesn't know you, who are you? We think people know who you are. So what's going on at the moment?
So I'm limited to my training at the moment, as the majority of people are. So the current conditions around my training is obviously I'm limited to equipment where it's dumbbells, which go up to 50, which is not too bad, a cable stack, a lat pull down, and an adductor machine. And it's in like a little room. And I have about an hour to do a session. And sometimes it does go over, and it's how I'm approaching training at the moment. It's like I'm going in, I'm doing the most I can within that hour. It's like a time challenge. And I'm at the moment, I'm prioritizing the most important shit. And if I don't have time, like today, I did not, it was pull day today. So I prioritized back movements, and I had to miss out on biceps, traps, and RDLs, unfortunately. But it's just how it is. To be fair, I have been quite fortunate with the lockdown up until pretty much a couple of weeks ago. Throughout like since the lockdown started, I've always had a decent place to train with decent amount of kit. So, I suppose I have been luckier than most in that respect.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like we talked about it in our check-ins, mate, you have had access to pretty decent gyms for the most part. It's just been unfortunate that right now the position you're in is not the best, but it's definitely a lot better than, just training at home with bands and stuff. Could you walk us through like sort of what was happening when you were training at Prophecy, like what you were having to do? How did that work out? If you care to enlighten us a little bit on that.
Yeah, man. So whilst training at Prophecy, it was like an exclusive club, they weren't saying like how I found out about Prophecy is a friend just went on the off chance in case it might be open, and it was. So that's the only way I fucking knew it was open, because my friend was just crazy enough to drive all the way to Liverpool and hope that it was open out of pure desperation to train. So what you do is you don't do it anymore because you can't fucking get in the place for obvious reasons. But you don't park in the car park, you park somewhere else, and you walk up to the door, and they check the cameras and they will let you in, and then you train and whatnot. And what was happening is police cars were pulling up at the car park, and because the cameras are monitored all the time, like when the police turned up, it was like, right, okay, police are here, we'll stay indoors until they fucked off. And there was times where we had to sort of hide, a little bit. And it just got more and more ridiculous. Like each time we got away with it, I'm like, wow, okay, that was close. And then it got worse, and he started staying for longer, and I was getting there, and I'm like, oh, I forgot my post-workout meal. I hope they don't stay for too long. There for like 6 hours, you know. I'm like, fuck, you know. I've been at this gym for like a whole 8 hours, and I've got an hour's drive back. So the last time I remember, and it was ridiculous. It was like another long wait, and you know, I had a little peek outside, and there's flashing lights everywhere. I was like, oh shit, you know, there's cars surrounded everywhere, and it was like a murder scene. It was like someone had killed someone, and I was like, I wonder how they're going to get us out of this one. And it got to the point where, like, we were just waiting and waiting, and someone lied about being kidnapped by the gym, and that's why there was that many police officers there.
Oh shit.
And that's why they weren't going. Usually they didn't really have a reason to stick around, but this time, you know, it was treated as a kidnap charge. And it was funny because we were sort of we were waiting, and I was like, right, okay, you know, they will get us out of this one. They always do. And eventually got to a point where it was like, right, okay, we're just going to have to run for it. And I was like, good one. No, like, but seriously, you are going to have to run for it. So when that happened, like the first instance, everyone was just running out and everything. I was with Molly, right? And she was absolutely terrified, having a panic attack. You know, she didn't want to run at police officers. I was like, it's going to be okay. We'll just stick back a little bit and see what the first wave does, see how that pans out. And
like Call of Duty, mate, or something.
Oh yeah, it was all kinds of fucked up. I was like, you know, it was like there were just normal people inside, and then we're all getting amped up, like, whew, whew, like we were about to do a fucking deadlift, and I was like, come on, right, and I was like, right, I need to get my steadhead energies out, and I'm just like, fucking, I'm ready. And I fucking get to and everyone's charging out. I get to the fucking front of it. I'm literally at one of the doors. I'm seeing everyone just getting absolutely battered. I'm like, oh no, no. I already lost my momentum by then. I was like, you know, I was with Mal. I was like, yeah, if I make it, then she, you know, she's probably not. And if someone starts attacking Mal, then I'm going to go to prison. And yeah, so we stayed back. I watched the cameras. I saw fucking Nathan Diaz get kicked in the stomach. That was crazy. And then we just walked out. We just walked out until they died down and, you know, stopped hitting people and tasering people.
And then you did get stopped though, didn't you? Like you did get stopped by an officer, even though you're walking slow and you're coming out slow.
Yes. Yes. He slapped the cuffs on me as well, which was nice.
Well, at least you can tell the grandchildren you've been in cuffs.
Yeah, it was like it was a nice, you know, experience, and it was like a big
bucket list
life experience. Yeah. And I was like, I had the cuffs, and I was just rolling them around because I was a bit fidgety and cold, and they were like, "Can you please stop doing that?" And they're asking me questions. I'm like, well, I can't help it. I'm cold.
Yeah. Did you remember your post-workout that day?
That day, yeah. I remember my post-workout, but I didn't remember my post-workout.
Yeah. Because I did tell you after like the first incident that like bring all your meals with you.
Yeah, which I did. And every time that I didn't, which was the one time, something happened. I was like, right, okay, I don't have enough time to prep for the day. I'm just going to hope that I just don't get caught up with the police. And that always seemed to be the day. Yeah. And I would go there, like on the other days when I've prepped all these meals and like I've prepped them for nothing because nothing's happened. So yeah,
from talking to people in there, were there people that were traveling from like ages and ages away to get to this gym?
Yeah, there were people traveling from all sorts, like, you know, the people traveling ages and ages away because this was the only option that they did have. And to try, same with myself, you know, there were some people who were surprised that I was traveling there for like 4 or 5 times a week. I lived like an hour away, but I was like, what else am I going to do? you know.
I sit here and I just couldn't imagine sessions being like that, like just being so distracted, like being in midway through a hack or midway through an RDL or squat, and you say police are here, we need to hide and stuff like that, and then you're halfway through your session and then it gets delayed for like an hour or so, then you go back at it and then it's just like, oh.
Yeah, so I mean, what would happen when the police came? People were still training. It was just that they turned the music off and they were like, don't scream during your sets. And I was like, okay. But like, it was a bit of a weird one, because when the first time when police came and everyone just tried to fucking run away before, but the police started coming where they were surrounding the building. So people were staying in, obviously. And yeah, it got to the point, but I have a weird sort of sense of humor during this like bit. Like, people have been there for hours, like about 4 or 5 hours, and I'm walking to people on machines. I'm like, have you got many more sets left on that? Like, they're obviously just sitting there because they're waiting. I'm just trying to fucking take the piss.
You've always been like that though, mate. Like, you've always been pretty relaxed and pretty jokey. Like, I knew that when it all happened, you didn't, obviously you were very, very, I think you were upset, definitely, like after what you'd seen, but which is
I was more angry than anything.
Yeah, angry and upset.
Yeah.
But it didn't really stress you out that much, which I think is something that's of note, is that you weren't messaging me like worrying or like over stressing about something that ultimately is beyond your control. Like, you always did the best of your ability in that situation. Which I think is what a lot of people do struggle with sometimes with bodybuilding, is that because they care so much about the goal and they care so much about what they've got to do to try and get it done. And for someone like yourself, especially, going assisted and having these bigger goals, the care and the amount of hours and money that you're pouring into this is extremely high. And I think a lot of people would think that you'd stress out a lot more about that, but you don't. And you've always been like that. Even when you've been at shows, you've been very, very low stress.
Yeah, I have like a little formula that I like to go to just keep me quite chilled out. Like, you have a problem, can you do something about it? Yes. Then why worry? And you have a problem, you can't do anything about it. No. Like, why worry? It's not it's not as simple as that. It doesn't apply to every single situation. But genuinely, if you can't do something about the problem, then there's no point in worrying. Worrying's not going to do anything. Same for if you can solve it, then don't worry about it. There's a solution.
I've read a really good book. It's called the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. And there's a chapter in that which really speaks about controlling what you can control, and that's really opened up even just how I feel. Like, in situations which make me feel negative, I sit there and go, well, I can control the way that I feel towards that, or towards that person, or how that person's made me feel. So instead of me sitting there and feeling sorry for myself, or why me, why this, I thought, you know what, let's do something about it. Let's actually find my happiness again, and get me out of this mood, whatever I do. And I think that's helped massively, just by reading that book and that chapter, and what you said really has reminded me as well, like, actually, I can control a lot of things more than what I know. It's just in certain situations where things don't go your way, you sit there and fucking think it's the end of the world.
Yeah, exactly. You take a big problem. A lot of people have a big problem, and a year later, you're not even thinking about that fucking problem. You've got to think that you've overcome every single issue in your life that's ever happened. Like, I've been in times where I was like, fuck, how am I going to get out of this? Now it's not even a concern. And
actually want to kind of touch on that a little bit, and I think it's like a nice time in the podcast to take us down this route. So I want to talk a little bit more about struggles that you've been through that are actually probably more significant than what you've been through recently, and the issues that you've had with training and things like that. So can you sort of take us back to actually probably even if there's stuff before the moment in which you started coaching with me, or anything that you'd like that you think is bringing up is a good idea. Just talk us a little bit through the process in which you've come through, the struggles that you've had, even just within sort of like living daily life and things like that. You know where to take this, so I'll leave it to you.
So for those that don't know, I was before I started coaching with AJ, I was a little bit homeless. You know, I was sofa surfing and things like that. And basically, I was trying to prep for a show at the same time as this in 2018. I was prepping for like the British. And I remember prepping, and I was living at the YMCA at the time because I had to find a place to live, but I didn't have enough money to find a place to live. I just started out coaching, and I just wanted it as my full-time job, and then I was hit with this conundrum, and it just got to a point where I had to move out of that YMCA into another one, but I had to sofa surf at the same time, and the other YMCA was a lot fucking worse as well. And it got to a point in my prep where I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I was in such a state of denial for a long time where I was just, I didn't have anywhere to cook. I was going in and buying like a packet chicken and some bagels to just eat my prep. And I was using someone else's Pure Gym code to train. And, you know, sleeping on someone else's couch, waiting for a place at this new YMCA. And, I just thought like, fuck, okay, I need to get my life together because it's falling apart, and I'm in that much denial. I'm just pretending I'm prepping for a show when that, you know, it's not the case. And after that point, you know, I stopped training a bit, and I went into a little hole of like, wow, I'm fucked, because with this new YMCA, you weren't allowed to work. Well, you could work, but the service charge was £1,000, and that's before any utilities, £1,000 a month. And obviously, I couldn't afford that, so it forced people to go on benefits, and that was the case for everyone. You know, if you could afford to pay like 1,400 quid for your accommodation, then you wouldn't be in the YMCA. And so that meant I had to give up my business, and you know that was my income, and that means I was only left with benefits. And I got to a point where I was eating out of food parcels. You know, like a lot these flats that were provided by the YMCA, when I got it, there was glass on the floor, there was holes that had been punched through, and stuff like that. And you know, it was very bare minimum. So like we would knock on other people's flats to use the microwave or to use a bit of cutlery if they've had any. And yeah, it was kind of crazy. And this is where I actually picked up smoking weed as well, because that's all people did to just get by, because without that, they're staring at a fucking wall and waiting for the day to go. So smoking weed just made that easier. Because we literally had fuck all, man. I remember at the time I broke my phone as well, which was the worst time it could break. So I didn't even have a phone, and it was, you know, I saved a bit of money to get that fixed, and I thought I had this weird epiphany. I was smoking some weed in someone else's flat. I was like, holy fuck, you know, I will die one day, and if I don't do something about this is how my life's going to go, and I will not live before I die. And I was like, fuck, I've got to do something about this. And I remember messaging you, AJ. I was like, I need to just get back doing something. I need a focus. I need a direction to go into. And we were going back and forward, and you said, you know, I'll help you out. I see potential within you. And, you know, it was crazy. I was like, fuck, you know, that point in time, I only really had Molly by my side, and to have someone who looked at me and saw some worth in me at that point in time, because people were very quick to leave. And, you know, whilst I was in the YMCA, very quick to just go discard that guy, you know? So for like someone like AJ to go, you know, we can do you have potential. You can win a British and shit. We could get back on it. We can try and regain some muscle. We can try and do it. I was like, fuck yeah, let's get back on the horse. And I at the time I had this crazy guy threatening to stab me, so I had to just fucking deal with that. But
I remember that. Fuck me.
Yeah, mate. He was like, this guy was hearing stuff, and he was threatening to stab me, and they blamed it on me for aggravating him, which I wasn't. So they had to move me from one side to an even worse side where everyone I lived with had been in prison. Like, there was no age cap, and it was not a dry zone, so people were drinking on site and shit like that. And that was by far, like, you ever see where you ever looked at like a crackhead on the street and think, where are they from? I was at that place where they were from. And like, it was mad, but it was funny because the day I was moving, they moved me, was the day of the competition of the British. And it was kind of a better moment, but yeah, anyway, this getting in touch with AJ, that was like the start of the ball rolling. I was like, me and Mull, we were like, right, okay, we need to get out of this. We'll scrape together some money and we'll try to find a place that will accommodate us. I remember getting some house viewings, and we paid a lot of the money that we had to get to Stoke, and they cancelled all but one house viewing, and this house was no better than where I was living, really, not much better. It's kind of a shithole. I was like, well, we can't live here. And I remember we were just sitting in this cafe having a coffee in Stoke, and I was like, I'm not going back there. I can't go back there. I need to get out of this place. If I go back there, I don't know if I'm going to come out. I phoned everywhere. I phoned all the agencies. I was like, have you got a place? Have you got a place? No, sorry, we are not without a booking. We need some notice. And this one place, like, if you could get to this place in 15 minutes, someone, we've just had a cancellation, we'll view you. And I was like, right, Mal, ditch the fucking coffee. Let's make a run for it. We've got 15 minutes. We ran and we ran to this place, and we got in there, and I told them the circumstance. I was like, we have jobs lined up. We didn't. We can pay for this place. I mean, we couldn't, but like, I was like, everything's lined up. I could pay for this place. I don't have pay slips. I don't have a job at the moment, but I can pay for this place. And I've got a deposit. We just about had enough for a deposit, and that it must have been like a dodgy agency, because I don't know why they said yes. Because I wouldn't have said yes to me, like, but it did. And I was like, I remember having this bit of relief, and I was like, I said it was just a bit of relief, and I was like, I remember shouting out, "Fuck yeah!" Like, you know what I mean? Because I just, that was the escape bit. That was like a fucking, the way out. I had the way out, and as soon as we got into this place, I was like, right, Mol, we need to get a job now. We need to get some money right now. And we both we were just going on Indeed and just applying for any fucking job we could get. And I started up Imperium at the same time, back up, so I could coach. And the rest is history in regards to that. And, me and AJ obviously prepped for the 2019 season. And man, we just we did okay in that season, I'd like to say. And like I said, the rest is history.
Jeez. Well, if you've been listening to that, I'm sure you've gone on a hell of a journey. I didn't even know some of those bits, to be fair.
Did I?
You know what? When I got told, you see, this is the weird sense of humor that I have, right? I got told when I was in the other YMCA, and they came in, and I was with Molly's like, you've got to take your stuff with you. You've got an hour to move, and I laughed. I was laughing. I was like, huh, that is actually terrible news. Imagine that. That's like fucking the irony of that situation. I was like, that's what a way to start the day. And I was laughing. And I turned around, I was like, Molly didn't find it so funny. I was like, okay, I'm going to stop laughing now.
Sicko. Oh mate, yeah, no, thank you very much for sort of taking us like through that journey. I appreciate that. It's hard to definitely record some of that, but equally it's probably in some way when you record it, you probably think, you know, you have an immense sense of gratitude for where you're at right now. You know,
absolutely. You know, people find it weird when I say I'm grateful for that to happen, because now everything just seems like a blessing, you know, no matter how life, you know, like, yeah, everything seems like a blessing, you know. I'm grateful to have my own fucking microwave. I'm grateful to have a roof over my head, and I can fucking eat whatever I want. I can go to the shop to buy whatever the fuck I want to the exact gram I want it at, you know. And problems just seem minute. And you know, it's just taught me, like, I had to find happiness without money, and it's taught me to appreciate the little things and not to be materialistic, and to just be happy with what I have around me. And that's such a very powerful perspective to have. And it's something that people go throughout the entirety of their lives searching for, you know, buying things to make them happy and trying to search for happiness within other things, and not realizing that perspective. I'm very glad I got that. And that's like that's priceless in my opinion.
Yeah. I think you got it in its I think you got it in its rawest form as well. Because a lot of people think, oh, you know, I grew up with, you know, not that much, or I didn't grow up with rich parents, so I now appreciate everything that I've got. But I think, like, I haven't been through anything that you've been through, and I know for a fact that you've got a greater appreciation of what you have right now than I would have in your situation. I'm more than happily open to say that. And in some way, like I sometimes think about that, and I sometimes almost think that I'm a little almost jealous of that, because like there's some things that I have in my life that other people would appreciate so much that maybe I don't appreciate enough. And I think that's something that I can definitely take from what you've just said there. And I think probably 99% of the podcast listeners can probably take it home as well. And also that 1% that may be in a position like yourself, or feel like they're at a loss at the moment, they know from that story that things can change.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always quite open with that. Like, I don't try to shame it. I'm not ashamed of it, because it's part of my path. It's part of my journey to where I am. And it's also, I feel like it's an important thing to sort of share, because there are many people who get into a position where they're like, fuck, there's no way out. And sometimes they shit the bed. And, you know, more times than not, there's always a way out.
Yeah.
It's I like to have like a sort of analogy. You know, sometimes people look at a situation, the mind could be their own worst enemy, and they could go, "Oh fuck," you know, I can't do anything about this. But like, I like to, you know, gun to the head. Someone says, "Do this, or else I'm going to fucking blow your brains out." Like, you will find a way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's like with any scenario. If you apply that with you can apply that with, like, you know, you say like you're deep on prep, you know, and like you're starving, you've got no energy, you're crawling, and you're like, I don't know if I could do a cardio session right now, or a training session. Someone points a gun at your head and say, do it, or else I'll fucking blow your head up. You will do that session, and you'll probably do it with some good intent. It's within you. You can do it. It's just your mindset.
Yeah. I've said this like time and time again to friends and to people. Like, I really don't like the words "I can't," because it a lot of the time, like, "I can't" is used when your mindset just hasn't got the capacity to think about what you can actually do. you know. And one of your things you used to say during prep, and definitely something that I took into last year's prep, was the whole too fucking easy thing. And it's like, it literally is a mindset of like, whether you approach a day thinking, Jesus, this is going to drag me through the dirt, or whether I'm going to be able to look at this day and think, well, actually, it's too easy. I'd rather it be harder.
Yeah.
That mindset shift is just a game changer.
Literally, you know, it's like what I have to do and what I'm prepared to do in comparison, it's just too fucking easy, you know?
I used to hear that on, I think it was prep. Yeah, prep. I used to hear you say that, and I was thinking, fuck, you know, this geezer's just go. Because I remember, and I don't know why I'm bringing this up. Me and you had that photo side by side. I think AJ, you took it, didn't you? I remember that photo. He's just saying I remember I was like, fucking hell, no wonder he says it's too fucking easy. Look at the fucking size of this fucker. And that's where I got your sort of cockiness, because I was thinking, this guy's fucking cocky. How about if he gets slaughtered? And then I saw more of you, and I was like, fucking hell, okay, yeah, no wonder he's got this mindset, because you can, you know. And just going through your past and what you've spoke about, you know, you've dealt through, like, a prep for you is probably fucking nothing when it compares to what you've done in the past, in terms of, you know, you're almost kind of just surviving off pretty much nothing, you know. And you're telling me prep's very easy for you. So yeah, you definitely, especially like 2019, sorry, that fucking opened my eyes up, and I did learn a thing or two. Can we go and talk about, like, just obviously transitioning from the natural side of things? We got to go into that too much, because obviously you've spoken about that huge amounts on podcasts before, but kind of just tell people how long you've been assisted now, and kind of what's it been like over this past year or so, well over a year now, in terms of, like, obviously the lockdowns. Have you been able to push things as much as what you would like? Have you started pushing things and all of a sudden you're having to train out of a garage and you've got minimal equipment? You're thinking, is this really worth it? What's kind of been that sort of thing over the past sort of year, in terms of transitioning to what you've done?
Yeah, so I started using gear in November 2019. So this was like a couple of weeks after I finished my show. And, you know, it was in consideration during, well, it's been a consideration for years. Like, anyone who bodybuilds, like, it automatically crosses your mind, doesn't it? Like, but it was in consideration. I was like, right, okay, I've done a couple of seasons. I need to know where I'm taking bodybuilding. I'm at that age where I need a direction to take bodybuilding. And I decided, right, you know, I want to take it all the way. Basically, I want to be an IFBB pro. I want to, you know, what made that decision quite clear was the athletes I was looking at and I was admiring and I was thinking about, you know. Now, natural bodybuilding is something that I'll always have in my heart. I think it's just one of the fucking hardest sports out there. But I've always been sort of really interested in, you know, your fucking Dorians, your Ronnies, your big fucking motherfuckers, basically. And yeah, so I had it. And then going into 2020, obviously we had the lockdowns, but like I said, I was quite fortunate with my ability to train. I had the facilities to train, and it was good. You know, I made a decent amount of progress that I can't really grumble at, you know. And I approached it with principles that I didn't have in my other off seasons, you know, stuff that was like ingrained into my fucking head by AJ, you know, a training style, you know, my focus on recovery has never been so fucking there, you know what I mean? You know, and my, you know, how my training was set up, how my nutrition was set up, everything, like, it wasn't just the assistant side of the things. It was the other stuff as well, which all came together to give me a decent amount of, you know, sort of progression to where I needed to be. So I'm happy with the amount of progress that I made, especially with the circumstance. Now that I'm training in my current circumstance, I'm just like, I can't do anything about it. You know, it's like, I can't grumble, because I've had that opportunity to make the progress that I've made. And, you know, I should be happy with that. ideally, we all want to be training in a gym, but it is what it is. So I'm just like, I'm just counting down the rest of these weeks until I could go back into a gym,
Yeah. Go on, AJ. Sorry.
From a response perspective, obviously I've taken you through the process, so I kind of know the answers to these questions, but from a response perspective, in terms of hopping across to the assisted side, have you been happy overall with the progression you've made? Did you think you would make more progress? Did you think you would be bigger by now? What is your thoughts in terms of the first sort of full year of you being assisted?
So I had in mind, I want to gain 20 pounds of muscle in the first year. I just had that in mind. I was like, I've seen other people when they first start the cycle, and I saw that that's the gain that they could potentially make if they put in the graft. I was like, right, I'm going to do everything I fucking can. And I feel like I got around about that number within the first year. So I'm happy with that. That was the goal I set out. I was told by someone like that was quite an ambitious number. I would like to think, just comparing the photos, that I have made that number. And yeah, I'm happy with that because I've hit a number that I set out to be. And I'm happy with the response, because the thing is, when you do start assistance, it's very like it can affect people in different ways. People can respond off it in all manner of ways. And I think I had a decent response. It could have been a lot worse,
And from a side effects perspective, a lot of people worry. These are the two biggest things that I think people are interested in with going assisted is, how much progress am I going to make and what are the side effects going to be? I think the first thing they think about is the progress. The second thing they think about is the side effects. So what side effects have you experienced and how have you dealt with them?
Like, I do feel as though I started too high. And that's me. I'm just going to be like, right, okay, I started too high. I'm holding my hands up. It wasn't detrimental. It wasn't like a stupid amount, but it was higher than I probably should have. I think that's when I experienced the most amount of side effects, like especially coming straight out of prep. I came straight out of prep when my hormones were in the gutter, and then I put a physiological amount of hormones in me, a super physiological amount. And that's when, I was having estrogenic side effects. My face started looking all puffy. I had a little bit of anxiety. It wasn't too much of a concern. And I felt like some little lumps under my nipples. And, I got that sorted out straight away as soon as that happened. As soon as I sorted that out, I haven't really had side effects, I've had the effects of, feeling like I'm on test. I'm feeling like I'm on top of the world. Sometimes when I'm on the cycle, I'm feeling confident. I feel like I'm aggressive to train, like that's there, and I feel good. I feel like I'm going to go into the gym, I'm going to fuck shit up. Sometimes you get your libido, sometimes that's up and down when you're coming on and off stuff. And sometimes you get your libido to a place where like you cannot fucking sleep because you just really need to fucking sort it out. So that can be an issue. That can disrupt sleep. So
Poor Molly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm going to say is vice versa. That happened when I was deep on fucking prep and she couldn't fucking sleep. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's payback, bitch. I don't give, you know what I mean? Yeah, I've some of that, you know what I mean? But in regards to the side effect type of thing, it's not been too bad. I've been, since the first bit, I've been quite sensible with increments. We pretty much kept it the same throughout the entirety of the year.
Yeah, getting the most from the least.
Yeah, exactly. Had bloods done on a regular basis. We monitored health markers, and we took health supplements. With that in mind, and when you monitor that sort of heavy, it's very hard for side effects to just creep up and go boom.
Yeah.
because you're monitoring it all the time. I didn't really struggle with things like acne or anything like that. I would say my beard's gotten a little bit fuller. I used to have like a beard where it was just like Abraham Lincoln and it could just grow there.
I remember that.
All going up a little bit. It's not like a full George, but it's there. It's getting there. You know, George is what I'm aspiring to be like. I don't know. I don't know how many drugs I would need to take to get to that level. But
a lot.
Yeah. You have to send me your cycle, George.
From an aggression standpoint, is it noticeably more aggressive? Because you poured a lot of aggression into your training when you were natural. Like I trained with you a lot of times when you were natural, and you definitely mate, some of your presses, especially when you were natural, were absolutely absurd. And there was a lot of aggression going into those sets and power. But does it feel like noticeably different when you are on cycle in terms of what you're able to pour into a set or into a specific, session in the gym?
Yeah. So yeah, you can feel it, and there was times where like I would see the hack squat and like I would look at the weight and it's a weight that I've never seen before, and I would laugh at it because I'm so ready to fucking lift it. Now sometimes I'd be
as well.
So sometimes it's like, obviously there's points where you get anxious for a big set. That doesn't seem to be the case when you're fully on, and you're like, right, I'm going to smash the fuck out of it. You're fully confident. I feel like just that mindset alone helps you to perform that set, just having that mindset and that confidence that I am going to be able to do this with the exact way I want to do it, don't get me wrong, like regardless of if you're assisted or not, you're going to have bad sessions sometimes. Sessions aren't going to go your way. You're still going to have sessions where you feel a little bit meh, you know what I mean? So you're not immune to that. It's not like every fucking session you're making crazy PBs and you're feeling on top of the world. You're not that's not always going to be the case.
I listened to the bodybuilding bollocks, whatever you want to call it, Fluid Abiad's podcast, and he says obviously, the drug side of things is good for that 1 hour in the day that you're training, and outside of that, it's not what you ideally would want. So with yourself, have you found that you've built up more aggression in like other certain situations, or there's some moment where you flipped out and you think, hang on, that's not normally me, or I'm obviously sleep, things like that, obviously sweating at night, all these different things that a lot of people don't realize. Have you noticed anything like that, or anything that's kind of surprised you that you didn't expect to see yourself doing, or expect to be a side effect when you have been, using the gear side of things?
Yeah, so you definitely do feel it outside the gym. You can feel it outside the gym. I do feel like Dorian said something like, I saw this when I was natural, and it was like, yes, you do get aggressive, but it doesn't mean you have to be a dickhead to people. You just put it into the gym. And I just find like I could pour it more into the gym, and that's sort of the gym side of things takes the brunt of that. And you see, like if I have a little bit, if I am more sensitive to be a little bit more irritable, I've learned how to deal with that shit on prep, so I can handle that sort of fine. But like I say, I'm not on a crazy amount of drugs. I've only really taken test and a little bit of DECA so far for my other cycles. For someone who's on like tren, on a good amount of tren, then potentially they're going to be like, there's going to be more severity with that, with the sweats at night, and they're going to be feeling like they're going to be a little bit snappy. That's when it's more prominent. So it also depends on people say like, if you are a dickhead off gear, you're going to be a bigger dickhead on gear. So you just got to learn not to be a dickhead, essentially. And you've got to be sensible with your drug use as well. Because if you are, if you just go straight into a high amount, not only is that going to be detrimental to your health, your head's going to be everywhere. And you're probably going to be snapping at people like you don't want to, no tomorrow, basically.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing that I definitely want to touch on, and I'm sure listeners will want to know as well, is what realistically is your next sort of big goal with this whole endeavor that you're going through at the moment with going assisted. When do you want to achieve this? What are your sort of plans at the moment in terms of next competition and the goal with that?
So I want to be a pro. I want to be an IFBB pro. That is the next thing. I don't want to. I don't really want to. I don't really want to waste time and compete if I don't stand a decent chance of becoming a pro, or if I can't hold my own within these type of qualifying shows. So the whole approach has been the same. The whole goal has been the same in my mind every single day since I've started this, and I made the decision, and that is to become good enough to be earning a chance to have a pro card.
Yeah.
You know, I want to have that potential. So my next show will be when obviously AJ and also myself sort of looks at me and goes, right, okay, you know, we have a decent chance of obtaining that pro card, you know, placing highly at these shows.
Yeah. And that's what we said, isn't it? Like when we get the green light on gyms and I can see you in person, it's almost a case of this year, you coming down, having a look at you with where you're at the moment, which is for where you're at bodyweight wise, high 230s, you know, it's a fucking good look. At least on progress images. It's a very, very good look. So if that represents itself in person, and I also think our plan is to get you in front of Cuba as well, just so Cuba can have a look. So obviously he's got his eyes on people that are going for that goal as well, if not more than I have my eyes on those kind of people. So we'll get his thoughts on things. And then if we do think that this year's viable, then there's no reason why not. There's no reason why you can't chase it down this year. You've had a decent year. Yes, the last 2 weeks and the next 5 might not be the best, but out of the grand scheme of the year, it's been 90%, 95% quality training in decent gyms with progression and with lots of visible progress. So yeah, we'll see.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've always said to people, like, people have asked, like, when are you going to next compete? And I've just said, when I'm ready, whenever that will be, you know. And that's what it is. Like, I'm not one of those that will say, I want to potentially earn a pro card by the time I'm 25. Okay. I think that would be nice.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have. I feel like that's realistic as well. So that's the goal. A pro card before 25, essentially.
Fucking sick.
Let's get it. What about beyond that?
Then I'll retire. I will retire after that.
Retire. Okay.
Yeah. No, the goal from that is obviously just in stages, man. So the next one's going to be good enough to obtain a pro card, and then I want to be good enough to be placing at pro shows.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like I will have a similar approach. Just go away for a little bit, improve, and come back where I could be competitive within a decent pro show. Well, within a pro show, should I say? And then, you know, probably the next goal would be, you know, to be fucking placing first. And then the next goal will probably be to be competitive within a decent pro show, like say the Arnolds. And then probably the next one would be, you know, be holding my own again on the Olympia. But this is like obviously long-term stuff. And then by the time I'm 27, win the Olympia.
You definitely thought it all through, haven't you?
No, yeah, I think I'm only joking. Like, it would probably be fucking years and years before I get to the point where I'm competitive at the Olympia, if that becomes the thing. But yeah, that is the goal. That's every sort of pro's dream. Everyone wants to start. Every IFBB pro pretty much wants to stand on the Olympia stage and hold their own. You know.
I think you're more than capable of doing that. It's just a matter of time, mate. And for me, it's just quite refreshing to see the just no bullshit sort of approach that you talk about throughout this podcast, and just in general through knowing you don't care, you're very honest about that. And I think a lot of people respect that, and a lot of people look up to that, especially myself. You rarely ever see someone who goes assisted talk about it much. There's quite a lot of people that are quite secretive about it, and you can kind of tell just through the years of experience, just through training and just knowing people. Yeah, hang on, he's got a little bit bigger or something, but you're just very honest and transparent about it, and that's what I really like. And I'm excited for it, mate. I really am excited to see even just what you can do if you compete this year or next year or whenever it's going to be. I'll be the first one to be following that journey, that's for sure. But yeah, it's very, very refreshing for me anyway, because I like the no bullshit sort of approach. I like the straightforward answers. So yeah, mate, I'm excited, so that's for sure.
Too right, absolutely. Have you got anything else you want to cover, particularly George? Or I think we're at a good point to potentially wrap things up.
Yeah, I think I've covered what I needed to cover, in all honesty. I love the story at the beginning. I wanted to find out about the old prophecy sort of situation and stuff like that. I'm glad you spoke about that. That was when I saw your IG on Instagram talking about, I was like, fucking hell. That's why I said to AJ, let's get Jack on, because I want to actually talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was mad. Like, I was in it with that. I what got me was my own denial about the situation, where I looked out in the window and it was like fucking impossible to get out of. And I was like, okay, we just need a bit more time now. We'll just wait this one out. It's like something that I've seen out of a movie. You'd never seen it before, like a fucking Die Hard or something. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, we're not gonna get out yet.
I think when you're in that situation, and that's probably why it took you a couple of days to come out of it, is that it almost feels like it's not kind of real.
Yeah.
It's one of those quite shocking experiences.
It did feel quite surreal. It did feel quite crazy, and just seeing the response to, obviously, someone entering the gym, the response by the police, I was like, holy shit, I didn't think that would go down like this. I thought, worst case scenario, people are going to be fined.
Yeah.
Fucking hit,
Yeah, crazy. Anyway, Jack, we thank you very much for your time, dude. Appreciate you as always. We'll leave you to finish off any remains of that meal, or in the case of you probably going immediately into your next meal, as you are a pro grazer, as you like to comment on.
I'm like a cow.
Yeah, you are like a cow, mate. It's a problem when you need it fits. You're not meant to graze on grass all day.
Well, cows are massive.
Yeah, they're true. Some of them massive. Anyway, listeners, thank you very much for the support on the recent episodes. Thank you for listening to this one. And we will chat to you guys soon. Of course, any recommendations for the next guest, please do put it in the comment section. We do read the comments, and we will definitely get on some of the guests that you have mentioned before. So thanks, guys, and speak soon.